On November 20, 2025, a Philippine court sentenced Alice Guo, mayor of Bamban, to life in prison for human trafficking. The verdict sent shockwaves across the nation, as few could have imagined that a sitting mayor would be at the center of such a massive criminal enterprise. Guo, once a rising political star, was exposed as Guo Huaping, a Chinese national who faked a Filipino identity to seize power. Her carefully constructed persona fooled not just voters, but also government agencies responsible for vetting public officials. Her conviction was historic, the first successful prosecution for organizing trafficking in the Philippines. It set a precedent, showing that even those in the highest offices could be held accountable for such grave crimes. At the center of her crimes was a sprawling 20-acre compound, disguised as a luxury resort but functioning as a fortress of forced labor. Hidden behind its high walls, a world of exploitation thrived, shielded from public view. Guo leased it to Zunyuan Technology, which ran a massive online gambling and scam operation. The company's reach extended far beyond the Philippines, targeting victims across Asia and even further abroad. Hundreds were held captive, forced to work under threat of violence. Many were lured with false promises of legitimate jobs, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmare, stripped of their passports and freedom. The operation's scale was staggering, enabled by corruption and weak oversight. Bribes and payoffs ensured that local authorities looked the other way, allowing the syndicate to operate with impunity for years. The illusion collapsed in March 2024, when a Vietnamese worker escaped and alerted authorities. Her desperate flight for freedom became the catalyst for a massive investigation. A raid rescued over 700 people, Filipinos and foreign nationals, trapped in a nightmare of digital fraud and abuse. The scale of the rescue shocked the public and revealed the true horror of the operation. Guo fled the country but was captured in Indonesia and extradited. Her arrest became an international story, highlighting the global nature of the crimes she orchestrated. In June 2025, her mayoral appointment was voided. She was never a Filipino citizen. The revelation exposed glaring loopholes in the country's political system. The final life sentence was a judgment not just on Guo, but on the system that allowed her scam fortress to thrive. It was a reckoning for institutions that had failed to protect the vulnerable. The case exposed the deep roots of corruption and the reach of transnational crime. It showed how criminal networks can infiltrate politics and exploit weak governance. It forced the nation to confront how a mayor could become a kingpin. The scandal sparked urgent calls for reform and greater accountability at every level of government. The story of Alice Guo is a warning. When crime and politics intertwine, entire communities pay the price. The scars left behind in Bamban serve as a stark reminder of what's at stake. Her downfall marked a turning point in the fight against trafficking. Survivors and advocates found new hope, and the public demanded stronger protections for the vulnerable. But the battle for justice in the Philippines was only beginning. The legacy of the scam fortress lingers, and the fight to root out corruption and protect human rights continues with renewed determination. The Go case revealed a vast, sinister industry thriving across Southeast Asia, operating in the shadows yet impacting millions of lives. The Philippines, Cambodia, and Myanmar have become notorious hubs for billion-dollar cyber scam operations, drawing in criminal networks from across the region and beyond. These are not petty crimes. They're highly organized, technologically advanced, and ruthlessly efficient, with entire buildings dedicated to cyber fraud. Victims have lost up to $37 billion, according to a 2023 UN report, with losses spanning continents and affecting families, retirees, and small businesses. The staggering profits fund fortified compounds, bribe officials at every level, and fuel the relentless expansion of these criminal empires. Tens of thousands of people have been trafficked, lured by fake job ads promising opportunity, only to have their freedom stolen and their lives upended. Workers are forced to run romance and investment scams, targeting strangers online with manipulative scripts and false promises, facing threats, violence, and even torture if they fail to meet impossible quotas or try to escape. The industry flourished under lax regulation, especially after offshore gambling licenses were issued, providing cover for criminal syndicates. What began as a government revenue scheme quickly spiraled into a national security crisis, overwhelming law enforcement and policymakers. These operations, known as POGOs, turned parts of the country into safe havens for transnational crime, attracting criminal actors from around the world. The line between legitimate business and organized crime blurred, with devastating consequences for communities and the nation's reputation. The scam industry's reach is global, but its roots are deeply embedded in local corruption, weak oversight, and a system struggling to keep up. Victims of this industry exist on both sides of the screen. For every person who loses their life savings to a scam, there is someone else, often thousands of miles away, forced to play a part in the deception. Millions worldwide lose their savings to scams. But the workers inside the compounds are victims too. Their dreams of a better life are shattered as they become trapped in a system that preys on their desperation. Many are educated, tech-savvy people seeking opportunity, only to be trapped and forced to commit fraud. They are lured by promises of good jobs, but soon find themselves in a nightmare they never imagined. Inside, life is brutal. 12 16-hour shifts, constant surveillance, and psychological manipulation. Every move is watched, every word monitored, leaving workers in a state of constant fear and exhaustion. Failure or resistance means beatings, torture, or worse. The threat of violence hangs over them every day, making escape seem impossible. The most vulnerable are at greatest risk, and the same networks that traffic workers also exploit children. Families are torn apart, and entire communities live in fear of recruitment and abduction. Corruption and weak law enforcement leave victims with nowhere to turn. Authorities often look the other way, or are complicit in the crimes themselves. The rare escape, like the Vietnamese worker from Bamban, is a story of courage amid countless trapped. For most, freedom is only a distant hope. Fear and trauma become invisible prisons. Even after escape, the scars remain, haunting survivors long after the ordeal ends. These workers are forced to victimize others, caught in a cycle of exploitation. Each call, each message, is a reminder of their own captivity. Their plight exposes the true human cost of the scam industry. Behind every fraudulent message is a person suffering, longing for rescue. The system treats people as disposable tools for illicit profit. Human dignity is stripped away, replaced by fear and obedience. The cycle of abuse continues until the roots of corruption are cut. Only then can real change begin. Every survivor's story is a call for urgent change, a reminder that behind the statistics are real people, fighting for hope and justice. Human trafficking and scam operations thrive on corruption. Alice Guo's rise showed how political power can shield crime. Organized gangs infiltrate government, using bribes and threats to secure protection. Guo's fake identity and election win expose deep institutional failures. Civil registries, immigration, and election bodies all failed to stop her. When law enforcement is compromised, victims have nowhere to turn. The pogo industry is a case study in policy gone wrong. What was meant as economic opportunity became a security threat. Government licenses gave cover to criminal empires. The Guo scandal forced a reckoning, but the roots of corruption remain. True reform means rebuilding trust and closing the loopholes criminals exploit. The Bamban raid and Guo's exposure sparked national outrage. President Marcos Jr. responded with a sweeping ban on offshore gambling in 2024. The move targeted the business model of trafficking syndicates and ordered the deportation of foreign workers at scam sites. Critics called it overdue, but it marked a major policy shift. Senator Risa Hontiveros led the legislative fight, framing it as a battle for the nation's soul. Guo's conviction was hailed as a victory, but investigations into deeper criminal links continue. Dismantling entrenched syndicates is a massive challenge. Criminals adapt, shifting operations, or going underground. The ban was a crucial first step, but real change demands prosecuting criminals, rooting out corruption, and rebuilding institutions. The fight is far from over, but the government has finally taken a stand. Alice Guo's life sentence was a watershed moment. For years, trafficking kingpins operated with impunity. Her conviction shattered that illusion. The case set a new legal precedent, empowering future prosecutions. The state seized Guo's 20-acre compound, striking at the heart of organized crime's profits. This high-profile win emboldened law enforcement and restored some public faith in justice. For victims, it offered hope and validation. But one case doesn't fix systemic problems. Poverty, weak institutions, and impunity persist. The challenge now is to build on this momentum for deeper reform. True justice means not just punishing the guilty, but preventing future crimes. The Guo case is a start, not the finish line. The Philippines has long been marketed as a retirement paradise, beautiful, affordable, and welcoming. Retirees are drawn by the low cost of living, stunning scenery, and friendly culture. English is widely spoken, making integration easier. Many find a sense of belonging and community. But headlines about trafficking and corruption cast a shadow over this dream. The Guo case raises tough questions about safety and the rule of law. Large-scale crime signals a breakdown in security. The allure of paradise must be weighed against real risks. Retirement in the Philippines is no longer just a lifestyle choice, it's a risk assessment. The dream comes with a price: uncertainty and vigilance. For retirees, personal safety is paramount. Organized crime and weak law enforcement create real risks: burglary, scams, even kidnappings. The Guo case showed how easily official documents can be forged. Property rights and contracts may not be secure. Legal disputes can be swayed by bribes. Many retirees retreat to gated communities, limiting their freedom and connection to local culture. Constant vigilance erodes the peace they seek. High-profile convictions are progress, but systemic problems remain. Prospective retirees must research, choose locations carefully, and avoid becoming targets. The Philippines offers much, but it demands street smarts and resilience. Is retiring in the Philippines worth the risk? There's no simple answer. For some, beauty, affordability, and warmth outweigh the dangers. With careful planning and caution, successful retirees build trusted networks, avoid flashy displays, and accept weaker legal protections. For others, the risks, crime, corruption, instability, are deal breakers. The idea of a mayor as a trafficking kingpin is too much to accept. The Philippines is a land of contradictions, breathtaking in kind, but also plagued by crime. Guo's conviction is a hopeful sign, but the fight is ongoing. Retiring here requires honest self-assessment and a willingness to navigate complexity. Paradise exists, but it's not without its serpents. The choice is yours. Adventure or certainty, risk or refuge.